In establishing a security and compliance management program, one vital component is security and awareness training. Upon hire and at least annually, all of your employees should be trained on security awareness, password management, social engineering, making sure they understand that security is their responsibility, and if they have any sort of access to any of your IT systems, they're responsible for those credentials, they're responsible for that account. If they have a company-issued laptop, they're responsible for making sure that it's stored securely when it's not in use, that they're not leaving it on their passenger seat in the airport parking lot before they fly off to vacation. You have to drill this into your employees, because no matter how security aware you think you are, you have to assume that your employees, unless you tell them everything that they need to know in terms of security awareness, you have to assume they don't know. Security awareness in this country, worldwide, is still very, very low. For most people, they still aren't dealing with this on a daily basis. In IT, it's easy for us to just assume, well, nowadays everybody knows about breaches, everybody knows about hackers, and yeah, people do know, but they really don't understand how a hacker gets in. They don't. I mean, if you asked 10 people what social engineering was, I guarantee you might get one answer that's correct. So people are vaguely aware of the dangers out there, but they don't understand A, what specifically needs to be done to stop it, and B, that it is specifically their responsibility in order to safeguard the assets that they're given, the credentials that they're given. So security awareness training is vital for at least those two components. Number one, to let your employees know you have to be vigilant. Don't click on every email that gets sent to you. Don't just because something looks official doesn't mean that it is. Just because an email came from the CFO's email address doesn't mean it was him. Making sure that you're checking the right checking email addresses to make sure that instead of an L, is that a 1? Okay, you need to make sure you don't send anything to that email address. So it's good to give them the basics to help them secure their credentials and your data, but it's also required from a compliance component, because if I'm a regulator and you got breached, one of the first questions I'm going to ask is, well, what's your security awareness training program like? Did you tell the staff that they needed to safeguard this data? Because if you didn't explicitly tell them, they can turn around and say that they didn't know. So security awareness training is vital. We've touched on phishing campaign simulations, and I put this into security awareness training. So phishing campaign simulations are, you use a solution to pretend that you are a ransomware gang, and you're trying to get one of your employees to click on an email by making it look like, if you use DocuSign, it's going to look like a DocuSign email. If you're using an invoice system, it could look like your invoice system. And the goal of it is to mimic what a real ransomware gang would do, and try to get your employees to click on a link they shouldn't click, or provide data they shouldn't provide. And the goal is to catch them yourself before the ransomware gang does, and let your employees know that there are real stakes and real consequences to clicking on something they're not supposed to. Doing those and making sure that your click rate goes down over the course of time will give you comfort that your training is working, and that your employees are getting more aware of the dangers out there. And that's how you perform vulnerability testing on your personnel layer. You have to do vulnerability scans on your network and on your web applications to determine what holes are there. Your personnel are going to be probably your biggest hole in terms of security. If you get locked down by ransomware, the odds are it's going to be because somebody clicked on something in an email that they shouldn't have. So one of your only lines of defense is to drill this into your employees using phishing campaign simulations, that there are real stakes here, and you can't just go clicking on everything. And it also gives a counter to what they hear every day. I tell all my customers, even me as someone in management myself, we spend 99% of our time enforcing on our employees that they have to get things done now. They have to click on that email now. They have to get to that attachment right now, pay that invoice, do what they need to do right now. I mean, how many times have you sent an email that said urgent, that said you have to look at this right now? So you're drilling into your employees' heads. Don't worry about it. Go ahead and click on it. You're going to get in trouble if you don't click on it. So to take a step back and make sure that they're aware of, yes, we understand that there are a lot of pressures on your time right now. Everyone has deadlines, but this is your responsibility too. You have to make sure you're clicking on the right thing. You have to make sure you're not wiring $50,000 to the wrong account if you're a title agency or anyone in billing or invoicing or anything like that. Beyond just your normal job duties, this is a job duty. This is not something we tacked on. If you have an email address, security is your responsibility.